Genghis Khan had a deep fascination with the stories of history. One day, he asked Qazi Waheed-ud-Din, "After this massacre, will my name be remembered forever in the world?" Qazi Waheed-ud-Din, seeking protection for his life, replied, "A man's name survives only among human beings." With these words, it became clear that humanity itself had not been spared. Hearing this, Genghis Khan's expression changed. In a fit of rage, he hurled his bow and arrows to the ground and said, "I have wiped out the nation of Muhammad of Khwarezm, but there are still other nations in the world that I have not destroyed. Among them, my name will live on." Qazi Waheed-ud-Din trembled with fear. The court was dismissed, and seizing the moment, he fled from the royal court.
The ashes of Merv and Nishapur had not yet cooled when the next face of the Tatar apocalypse turned toward Herat, the son of Genghis Khan, whose very name made cities tremble, whose horses' hooves had stamped blood onto the pages of history. Tolui Khan stood at the gates of Herat with a merciless army. This city had already heard the footsteps of the Tatars before. A year earlier, the Mongol generals Jibe Noyan and Subutai, in pursuit of Muhammad of Khurasan Shah, had passed through Herat. Pressed by the urgency of capturing the Shah, they had not turned back toward the city. They accepted only a formal submission and moved on after extracting a pledge of loyalty from the governor of Herat, Amin al-Mulk. But Mongol promises were never meant to last long. Amin al-Mulk had sensed the coming storm. As soon as the Tatars departed, he abandoned Herat with his trusted soldiers and fled toward Sistan. In his absence, power fell into the hands of a man unfamiliar with fear, Shams al-Din Muhammad. Shams al-Din was not only brave, but decisive. He did not dismiss the Mongol threat as rumor. The fortifications were strengthened, weapons prepared, and the army organized with one firm belief: this war was not one of retreat, but of resistance. Meanwhile, the call for jihad proclaimed by Sultan Jalal al-Din Khurasan Shah had reached Herat. Nobles and common soldiers alike shared a single heartbeat. This city was ready to fight, ready even to die. Within days, Tolui Khan encamped in the open plains outside the city. A messenger was sent inside. The message was brief, but dripping with arrogance. "If you value your lives, open the gates." Shams al-Din Muhammad read the message and made a decision that would be carved into the chest of history. "May God destroy the day I submit to these savages." The messenger was executed. For Tolui Khan, this was a declaration of war. He launched a full-scale assault on Herat, but the force that had crushed Merv and Nishapur in moments came to a halt here. Herat did not surrender. Shams al-Din Muhammad fought with such strategy and courage that the Mongols were stunned. Within just 7 days, commanders in whom Tolui Khan and Genghis Khan had taken pride lay dead. So many corpses fell that counting became meaningless. On the 8th day, as Shams al-Din stood in the open field, holding the battle lines and pushing the enemy back, fate suddenly turned. A single arrow, and history claimed the name of another warrior. Shams al-Din Muhammad could not withstand the wound. Within moments, he drank the cup of martyrdom. After his martyrdom, division spread within Herat. The soldiers and the people wished to continue the fight. The enemy had weakened, but the nobles were consumed by fear. They saw the shadow of Genghis Khan's revenge looming over them. On the 9th day, silence fell upon the city walls. Tolui Khan understood the city was about to break.
He came to the edge of the trench himself, revealed his identity, and shouted in a threatening voice, "I am Tolui Khan, son of Genghis Khan. If you wish to live, lay down your arms, pay tribute, I promise mercy." Fear made the decision. The gates of the city were opened, but a Mongol promise was never truly a promise. The moment Tolui Khan entered the city, he reversed his order. Those who had resisted, those suspected of supporting Sultan Jalal al-Din Khurasan Shah, all were put to the sword. Blades were drawn from their scabbards, and 10 to 12,000 people were slaughtered in the streets of Herat. This was not the conquest of Herat. It was the punishment of Herat. Among the list of the slain was extinguished a shining lamp of knowledge and hadith, the great scholar Imam Abd al-Muiz Muhammad. Thus, the fall of Herat was not merely a military defeat, it was the murder of knowledge, faith, and dignity itself. This tragedy occurred in Rabi al-Awwal, 618 AD. Those people of Herat who survived the sword met a fate no kinder. Tolui Khan bound them in the humiliating chains of slavery and carried them away, living corpses whom history would remember only as captives. A hollow show of governance was established. Malik Abu Bakr was installed as a puppet ruler, while the Mongol officer Mongetai was appointed the true administrator of Herat. The city still stood, but its soul had been imprisoned. Within this blood-soaked chronicle, another strange and chilling chapter was written. The chapter of Qazi Waheed-ud-Din. Qazi Waheed-ud-Din was a renowned religious scholar and jurist of Herat. When the fire of jihad ignited, he did not speak from the pulpit. He spoke from the city walls. Clad in armor, helmet upon his head, weapon in hand, he stood upon the very tower facing the field where Tolui Khan's tent was pitched. As he rained arrows on the enemy, amid the chaos and crush of battle, his foot suddenly slipped. A single moment, and he fell from the towering wall, straight into the deep trench dug outside the city. All believed the story had ended. But after some time, he emerged from the trench alive and unharmed. Mongol soldiers unleashed a storm of arrows, but fate refused them yet again. Not a single arrow struck its mark. Witnessing this, Tolui Khan himself was startled. He ordered, "Do not kill him." The Qazi was brought before him. Tolui Khan studied him closely and asked, "Who are you? A human, a jinn, an angel, or some other creature?" Qazi Waheed-ud-Din replied calmly, "I am an ordinary human being." Tolui asked in astonishment, "Then how did you survive?" To save his life, the Qazi turned his words, "So that I might become favored in the eyes of a great ruler like you." This answer pleased Tolui's pride. He smiled and said, "You are a capable man, worthy of the court of the great Khan." Thus, Qazi Waheed-ud-Din was sent with honor to Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan had a passion for listening to the tales of history. For this passion, Qazi Waheed-ud-Din proved well-suited. He was appointed a storyteller in the court, and the stories of the rulers of Khurasan were narrated before the Khan. Some time passed in this manner. One day, Genghis Khan asked, "After this massacre, will my name be remembered forever in the world?" Qazi Waheed-ud-Din, seeking protection for his life, replied, "A man's name survives only among human beings." Hearing this, Genghis Khan's expression changed. In fury, he hurled his bow and arrows to the ground and said, "I have annihilated the nation of Muhammad of Khwarezm, but there are still other nations in the world that I have not destroyed. Among them, my name will live on." Qazi Waheed-ud-Din trembled with fear. The court was dismissed, and, seizing the moment, he fled from the royal court. The ashes of Merv and Nishapur had not yet cooled, and the scent of blood still lingered in the streets of Herat, when history turned yet another corner. Between the resolve of Sultan Jalaluddin and the terror of the Mongols, a new struggle was about to begin. The survival of Qazi Waheed-ud-Din and the blood-soaked walls of Herat still seemed to cry out in silent testimony. This is not merely a story of war. It is a tale of humanity, faith, and courage, destined to live forever upon the pages of history. But what was to come next? Under the shadow of Mongol wrath and amid the devastated cities of Khurasan, who would prevail? Who would fall? And would Sultan Jalaluddin fulfill his promise? In the next episode, we will witness Sultan Jalaluddin Khwarezm Shah seeking his final refuge on the land of Sistan, securing the support of Afghan chiefs and preparing to fight a decisive battle, one that would not only challenge Mongol arrogance, but alter the fate of the entire region. Be ready, for the next chapter stands at the threshold of one of history's most epic and blood-soaked battles.